So, about that earnings report, um, there's been a lot of hype, excitement um, after HYLIION's most recent earnings call, but I just haven't published anything on the subject because I really don't want to be the guy who rains on everyone's parade. But I wasn't impressed. I was not impressed, and I'll tell you why. Because the numbers continue to look absolutely abysmal. Now, just because you generated, say $200,000 worth of revenue, while you continue losing millions upon millions, that the company continues bleeding money, and I understand that you have to walk before you run, but if you look at the numbers objectively, what you're seeing right now is basically a company that's effectively turning $100 bills into $1 bills. Do you think that's a trick that you want to continue, being part of? I mean, if you saw somebody in the street saying, "Hey, if you give me a $100 bill, I'm gonna turn it into a dollar bill," would you reach into your pocket and give them a $100 bill? Of course not. But effectively, while you're invested in HYLIION, presently, that's sort of what you're doing. That's effectively what you're doing. You're putting a $100 bill into someone that's going to turn it into a dollar bill. If the company has generated, well, I think it was $200,000 if I'm not mistaken. I should remember this because it was a pretty straightforward number. While at the same time burning millions upon millions of dollars in that same period, I don't see this as being investable at this time. Now, the thing is, I understand that speculative investments, by nature, that's how they work. You invest in businesses before they're profitable, and you speculate that if they will be able to deliver on the goods or services or the product that they promise to deliver, or that they aspire to deliver, then of course your investment is going to multiply several fold. But quarter after quarter, delays after delays, and continued dumping of shares by the CEO, showing virtually no regard for the shareholders whatsoever. It really has put such a sour taste in my mouth about this company, and for that reason, I ended up selling the majority of our stake a few weeks ago. Obviously, at a significant loss. We had an average of I think low dollar cost average was in the low 8s, and I ended up selling I don't remember anymore. I think it was in the mid 4s, like 450, something like that. And I did that only because I wanted to put that money into something else that I felt would go up quicker, and it did. I put money into an ETF, a semiconductor ETF, and I did well with that one. And then I actually, when HYLIION dropped significantly, I did put in a big buy order at 365, I believe it was. If I feel like editing this video, I might actually put in screenshots to substantiate what I'm saying, but I don't think it's necessary. I'm not trying to impress anyone. In fact, if I was trying to impress someone, I wouldn't say that we actually lost a lot on this investment. But anyways, I bought in again at 365, and went up to, I think it was 450 or something very recently, and now again it's dropping down even after the earnings. And I actually ended up selling everything. I mean, every single HYLIION share we had a couple of days ago after the earnings report, because I felt like wait, was it after? Maybe it was the day before earnings. I don't know. But anyways, just looking at these numbers, I just thought to myself, this is crazy. Yeah, maybe the company is going to deliver, but it's going to take a very long time. And until they are going to deliver, and especially with the massive, headwinds that we're all facing right now, globally, with the with the invasion of Ukraine, this situation is very rapidly becoming something extremely dangerous, and this has the potential to. It has a very serious potential. Let's put it that way. If this madman decides to, if he feels really sort of cornered, and God knows what this guy's capable of, and some of the worst case scenarios, which are not that unlikely at this point, are really, 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 really bad. I mean, really bad. So bad that losses in the financial markets would be the least of your worries. I don't really want to talk about it too much because this is something that's just it's absolutely awful. It's absolutely awful. I've been trying to find ways to help the people of Ukraine. I've decided a couple days ago that we're going to start donating 10% of the revenue in my company to the Red Cross to help to help refugees, to help people crossing the border, to bring supplies to people in Ukraine. I've sent money to some of my friends in Poland who are actually making a trip to buy blankets, to buy medicine, to buy all kinds of things for people crossing the border. But back to HYLIION, my point simply is that I don't see this stock suddenly reversing in its trajectory. For the next few days, I think the sentiment might be relatively positive. Ooh, we finally started making money. Although no, we haven't. We haven't. You can lie to yourself all you want, and that's sort of the problem with HYLIION. It really has some of the it has some of the how can I say characteristics of sort of a cult stock, and it has been that way for a while, and for that reason, like the company puts out anything that's by any other standards, by any other measure in any other company would not really be considered anything of significance, but because we've all been starved for so long for anything reasonably positive about this company, that all of a sudden, oh my God, to the moon, we're making money. No, we're not. We're not making money. If you think this is making money, send me $100. I'll send you $1 back, and then you tell me if you think you made money. And yes, I understand this is a far departure. It's an improvement from where we were, say, 6 months ago, where they would take $100 and turn it into nothing. So yeah, we're definitely in a better place. But think about how many of these things have to be sold on a quarterly basis just for the company to break even. Do the math on this. It's scary. Getting it out for 50 of these units, this week. Who knows, maybe 100, a couple of hundred, maybe 1,000 next month or something. That's not gonna cut it. These guys need to be pumping these things out every single day like crazy, week after week, thousands upon thousands of orders, and this is just to break even. We are nowhere near that point. And are we gonna get to that point before the company runs out of money, or needs to start raising capital, needs to start diluting shareholders? I have a feeling I don't see it right now. And for that reason, I sold everything on HYLIION, and I just think there are much better opportunities in the market right now, much better opportunities. Maybe I'll do some videos on some of those other companies that I find to be much better opportunities. I will say one of those companies that I see as a great opportunity is Wise, formerly TransferWise. It's a fantastic service that I've been using firsthand for many years. It's a currency conversion. It's basically a website where you can send money, between people, move around, make transfers, payments to employees, send money to friends and family, things like that. With the massive difference that you're not paying anything or virtually anything to exchange money, whereas say with PayPal, when you're transferring money, first you get stung by PayPal's absolutely brutal, almost obsolete, outdated fees, something like 3.5%, 4% or something, to receive money, and now they're also adding fees to the people sending money. So it's a double-edged sword. And to make matters worse, if you're getting paid in a different currency, which today everything is sort of global, international. On top of that, you get PayPal's exchange rate, which of course is a pretty bad exchange rate, so you lose an additional % or 2 on that. And then on top of this, they have the nerve to add their currency exchange fee. I believe it's 2.5%. So wall to wall, end to end, once PayPal is done with you, it's entirely plausible that in some transactions, some situations, you're gonna lose, I don't know, 7-8% or something like that. And that's a massive amount of money. So if you're using PayPal on a regular basis, it's an extremely expensive service. You're losing a lot of money, and that is why services like Wise just make all the sense in the world. When I found Wise, I was like, where have you been all my life? If you're running a business and you can suddenly save, say 7, 10, 15% of the money that would otherwise go to fees. If you can save that, you're increasing your revenue by 10% at the end of the year. Imagine if with just switching from one company to another, one provider to another, you could suddenly increase your stock market portfolio returns by 10% per year. You'd be like, yeah, sign me up. And that essentially is the difference between, say, doing business with PayPal versus with Wise, formerly known as TransferWise. So, and their stock has dropped significantly over the last month or two. Like a lot of tech companies, they're still a relatively young company, but again, I've been using them for a few years now. Fantastic interface, super easy to use, very friendly customer service. I like it. It's as a user, as someone who uses the service, I'm all aboard. They actually had their IPO about a year ago or so, and when the IPO was announced, I went to my broker and I said, I want to be in on this IPO, like right on market open, and I was able to get it right at the IPO price of £8 per share, and the stock really quickly went up. I think went up to like 11, maybe even 12 British pounds per share. But I sold it at, I think it was 11 a share. I don't remember. So that was like a 35% gain or something like that. And then then I sold it because I felt it went up a little too fast, and the price to earnings was a bit high at that point. And I waited. It dropped, continued dropping, and I bought in again. But now it's dropped even further since then. Now it's trading at around 5 British pounds per share. So it's quite low. It's like 40% below IPO price. And considering what this company is doing, how much better they are at PayPal, than PayPal, for example, what an incredible service they provide to users, especially around Europe and Asia. This to me is just a no-brainer. I don't care if it takes a year, 2 years for this company to. I mean, they're signing up. Their account volume is growing like crazy. I like everything about the business. Super low fees or virtually no fees. Getting interbank exchange rates when you're trading money between accounts. It's amazing. It's a fantastic company. So I'm a big fan of that. So that's one. But anyways, I'm sort of rambling. I started talking about HYLIION, and now I kind of segued into Wise. But yeah, so my point simply is, I sold all of our HYLIION holdings, and honestly, I feel like such a weight off my shoulder has been removed. It's a good feeling to no longer be invested in HYLIION. It feels good. Of course, I'm continuing to monitor the stock. I'll wait for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. No, probably more than that. I'll probably give it at least half a year. And if I do see that their cash position will sort of kind of stabilize, that the bleed will kind of slow down, and there's more and more, like, how can I say, revenue that's actually noticeable coming in, so that kind of bleed, that cash depletion is going to really slow down, and if we start getting to a point where, okay, I can see within a quarter or two, they might start breaking even, I'd be like, okay, all right, now it's time to get back in. But I'm not convinced that that's going to happen. I think the reality continues to be there, that this thing will just continue dropping, and it's going to wipe out a lot of people's accounts in terms of what they invested in this company. So I think we're not out of the woods with HYLIION, and I think the danger is still there. And in fact, I think the danger is bigger today than it was 6 months ago or a year ago, because the company had twice as much cash. Now you have so much less cash available, and as far as I'm concerned, 200,000 in revenue when you burned millions upon millions of dollars, you're nowhere. As far as I'm concerned, you're nowhere closer to the finish line than you were, a year ago. I know that can be argued. Yeah, they're closer, but in terms of making money, they're still in the same. They're actually in a worse position today than they were, like I said, a year ago. Because at least a year ago they had a lot more cash. Now their cash is cut almost in half to where it was a year ago. And yeah. So I don't know. I'm not sold on this last quarter. I almost feel like this revenue that was put in the books was almost like, let's just sell a couple of these to our next door neighbor, you know, just so we can put something on the books to appease the investors, you know. And yeah, I almost feel like it was a symbolic gesture, not really so much anything that's indicative of a company that's ready to start making money. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. I will upload again soon. Cheers.